Right. Welcome to another great episode of the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show, joined by a fantastic guest, Mike Parker. He's from the Pro Wrestling Mini Museum, and he's going to go ahead and show us his collection, a lot more. So how you doing so far today?
I'm doing okay.
All right. So definitely glad you could join us. So how did this all get started, your Pro Wrestling Mini Museum?
Um, Kind of a series of steps. I've been a fan since 1985. I was very young back then, and a few years later, got a few autographs. And uh, fast forward, I got older. I'd go to conventions, get some autographs. And what really set it off was in 2013, I found this place called Pro Wrestling World, about 2 hours from where I live. And it was in an antique mall. It was a combination store. And this guy had his own museum and he had stuff everywhere. And I was just enamored with it. I'd go there whenever I could. He closed down actually, let me back up. So I started a wall of my own just based on, I'm like, let me put up a few pictures. And then basically he closed down. You could fill out a form to say if you wanted to buy certain items. I picked up a few items. I needed more room. I started another wall. And it kind of just kept going from there until you know, I'll say it's 3/4 of a basement that I'm using in my home. And about a year after that, I said, you know what, this guy closed down. I know there's not many opportunities for people to see collections like mine. A lot of collectors are very private, although I think I've had a role in it. That's easing up a little more. People are more willing to show their stuff. But I said, why don't I go online with this? So I made a website, started, putting my stuff on there. I still add to it every week. I made the social media, and I just want, again, to share this with people so they can see it, so they're not stuck by maybe the few museums that are left, which is not many. There was a big one in Texas, they closed down. So there's not a lot of places for people to see this. When they have WrestleMania every year, they showcase items, but unless you're going to WrestleMania, you're not going to see those things. So this is like 24/7 log on. I don't charge anything. And people could just, if you're a wrestling fan, you could just get lost in there. I've got my ring worn, I've got the old school magazines signed, um, obviously pictures. I've got the website laid out in different sections for like classic WWF, for women, for all these different territories. I can't go through every single one, obviously, but I try to make it a very immersive experience, and people who see it seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it just from a little bit I could see, it looks fantastic. Is that your specialty? Is photographs, or was it anything that came about?
I would say it started with photographs. I would say my specialty at this point in time is the signed magazines, especially as these guys are getting older. I'm getting older myself, but then the people you grow up with are really getting older. So, and I love these magazines. I grew up with them. So they're like pieces of history. To get them signed, to me, that's a really cool thing. And for the most part, pretty inexpensive, unless you're dealing with like a major name like a Hulk Hogan or something like that. And like I said, I'm fortunate enough to where I have people who have at this point passed on. I got them before that. And occasionally, if the seller's reputable enough, because you got to be careful with that, I will pick up things from other collectors or dealers, but again, they have to be like A+. I'm not buying it from Joe Schmo because you don't know if it's real or not then.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. You got to be careful about some of the stuff you pick up, but you've gotten some people that unfortunately have passed on. Have you got a chance from getting something from the Macho Man and greats like that, Andre the Giant?
Yeah, well, no, Andre's like the rarest autograph out there, and I never really did conventions or anything, and he passed relatively young, so and I was pretty not super young, but young enough where I wasn't really making any money at that point. But I do have the Macho Man. He only did like one signing in my area, and I went. I was lucky enough to go and get it, and his autograph is very sought out. So I am lucky to get that. I made a special display. Initially, I had just gotten a poster from when he was in WCW at the time. And I wasn't really forward thinking at that time just because it was current to say maybe I'd want something more classic. Years go by and I'm putting this together. I get the poster, and the poster is actually not in great shape, but he signed a nice corner of it. So I just took the corner off, and they call that a cut signature. And I put that kind of in a frame. I put one of his, not one of that he wore, but with the bandanas they sold in the 80s that I've had since then. I use that as a background, and I have a picture of him with the title displayed with the autograph. So nice little display there. You have to get creative sometimes.
No, you're right. You got to get creative with photographs. And is that the best time of wrestling was in the 80s, you feel?
For me it was. I mean, the 90s were pretty good too. But yeah, that was kind of my era. I do still watch it. I'm not one of these people who's like, ah, it was better in my day. Things change. I get that. But to me, there were just so many colorful characters, larger than life characters at that time with Hogan, with Macho Man, with Roddy Piper, Ric Flair. The names just go on at that time of these classic stars.
Yeah, and is that your favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan?
Oh no, nothing against him, but no, he was my favorite when I started, I'll be honest. But as I got older, I was just in that teen phase. So as I got a little older, kind of gravitated toward the Macho Man. And then when I got a little older than that, and I kind of discovered Ric Flair more, I'm like, I love this guy. Comes out in the suits. He's got these great interviews, and yeah, Ric Flair is my favorite wrestler for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing how, you take little steps and it turned out so big. Nowadays, would you recommend people who are fans of wrestling to go ahead and get anything you can to get them to sign it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can, particularly with, the newer people are out there, and the lines are actually pretty big because they're currently on TV. But yeah, especially with the older stars, I can't say it enough because you never know when a guy is just going to be, even if he's still with us, if he's just going to get to a point. An example is the Iron Sheik, where he's with us, but he just can't travel anymore, just not doing anything. And one day where it's just like they stop signing. So, I say get these guys when you can.
Yeah, that's right. And you definitely have built up a wealth of collection. What is your plan with the museum now? Is it just adding more, or are you going to maybe transport it into an actual museum?
No, it's just adding more. It's almost counterproductive to add it to an actual museum because then again, yeah, I have the site, but I'd have to do it over. Then I'm only in one location and people have to travel. And those things are rough to maintain because you got to pay the rent. How much do you then charge people to get in? Are you going to have repeat visitors? So to me, that's just an expense that I don't think I'd want to take on.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then, so now people could see the museum virtually on your website and they get a chance to make comments.
Yeah, I'm very active on social media, um, YouTube. But the thing with YouTube is every so often, I recently just did one. I'll do an entire tour, And the last one I did was actually me talking about the items and everything. So people can comment there. I post usually new things on social media as I get them. So people can comment there. So there's plenty of room for people to, you know, give their opinion about it. And it's mostly good.
Yeah, and that's great that you keep up with the new wrestlers, and that's what you do now. Do you just show up to events or you show up to conventions to get most of the autographs now?
Yeah, I go to conventions, and since the pandemic, they started these things called virtual signings where they'll have the wrestlers on live and you can send in your items or they'll have their own items to be signed. And that's also where you can get like ring worn gear because they realize this is an opportunity to sell some of their stuff. And that's, that's on the higher end. I mean, there's people that have collections that blow mine away just because I'm not in that tax bracket.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, with collecting, it can go infinitely. You could spend money to get stuff and you can get stuff from other people. But the main thing you said was very important. Always get it from a reputable settler.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get a lot of my stuff from the guy who used to have the store in Pennsylvania because I know he's reputable. So he's an example of a guy I would trust and I would get things from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there an item you have on hand that you want to show to the people?
Let's see. I want to get put something that people can actually see. Give me a second.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, this is awesome.
all right. So this is my number one magazine signed by both Hulk Hogan and Rowdy Piper. I don't know if you can see it. There's a there. That's a little bit better. I know I had
Yeah.
somewhat of a glare. That's probably the easiest thing to show. A lot of the ring worn I have hung up, and I could probably turn a little bit. Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to point out, but like right here is it's a modern one. That's Carmella's ring worn outfit from the first Women's Royal Rumble. So that's a cool piece there. And again, that's just the stuff that I can get to. It's literally everywhere here.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really incredible collection. And with the new wrestlers now, we have somebody who's still active. Well, not really active, but used to be active, and that's The Rock. Have you gotten a chance to get The Rock?
Yeah, the Rock is insanely priced now. What I have again, because it goes back to a time when he was around that I didn't have super money, but I did go to an autograph signing. So I have a Polaroid that I got with The Rock and he signed it. So I didn't have the opportunity to get a picture signed separately, but I got the photo. I know the signature's real because I got it in person. It's not too far away here. I don't know if can you see it?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. There he
Okay.
is, The Rock. All right, Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, so that's incredible that you got a picture with him. Not too many people can say that. That's for sure. I can't even say that. I don't have a picture with The Rock. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was around I want to say 97, 98.
Yeah, so definitely that's fantastic. You keeping up with it. In fact, you motivated us, and I'm sure you've motivated a lot of listeners to go out there and keep wrestling alive. Go ahead and try to collect whenever you can.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're an old school fan or even now, I mean, there's so many conventions and it's a great opportunity if it's something you want to get into. It's a great opportunity to get into it because that type of accessibility that there is now did not exist when I started watching. You would see something every once in a while. The first big thing I went to, my dad treated me when I was in high school to like a VIP ticket to WrestleMania 5, which was Hogan versus Macho Man. And they had like a VIP autograph session. but those things were few and far between. Now, excuse me, even if they're pricey, there's opportunities to see just about anyone you want. Not all the time, because they don't want to saturate the market, but the opportunities are there.
So that's great that people nowadays have better opportunities than they did back in the day. So that's encouraging. And how could people go ahead and follow you on social media and check out the virtual museum?
They can check out my website at wrestlingmuseum.net. They can find me on Facebook and Instagram at PW Museum, and they can find me on Twitter at PW Museum One, because I just couldn't get the just PW Museum on Twitter. That seems to be the tough place to get the name you want.
No, you're right. I've had other guests say the same thing, but you're in there. We're gonna make sure we follow you on all social media here at the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. And definitely that's Mike Parker. We're gonna keep up with you and your collection and continue to motivate you to keep getting stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even the good thing is I have almost such a backlog of stuff that I haven't put on the website that I'm able to update every week. I kind of keep the stuff in a separate area, and then it's like, okay, haven't put this picture up yet. I'll go photograph it, put it on the website, and this way I get to keep it fresh. So if someone has by some miracle seen everything, or even just seen everything they want to see at the moment, I try to always have something new there every week.
Yeah, that's great that you keep it updated and we're gonna make sure you follow those social media. But the YouTube is just the one video you said.
Well, I have a few, but they're, I only do them periodically because there's no real point in me doing the same tour every week. But I do it like once a year because by that time, especially this time I did it, a lot of the items had changed due to trades, due to big acquisitions I had made over the years. So I thought it was time to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. And how could we find you on YouTube too?
YouTube, I am at Mike Parker NJ because I already had it and I didn't want to change the name. And again, I don't use it that much to even. I've started using it more. Maybe if I use it more, I'll see about changing the name. I just started when I get something cool to open it on YouTube since I attracted a little attention with the tour. But I will say it gets exhausting after a while because I do work. I do have a real job, and doing all this outside stuff, there's only so much time. As much as I absolutely love it, wish I could make $1 million off it, I only have so much time to devote to it.
Well, we're gonna hope that you get it, that $1 million, maybe in the future, you sell your collection. But definitely you motivated us to keep up with the wrestlers and make sure we get as much stuff we can to grow our collection. So we appreciate you joining us here, Mike Parker, on the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show.
Absolutely. Had a good time.
We did too. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care now. Bye bye now.